Tim, it's major week.
Yeah, it is.
Not nice course major. This is the U.S. Open, Shinnecock Hills, where par feels like you stole something.
Yeah, it does.
And while golf is trying to break out on Long Island, the World Cup is already in full swing, and the futures board is moving under our feet. And this is the spread zone. And the mission is simple. Make our listeners money.
Profit season around these parts.
My name is Riz. That there is Tim McKernan. Of course, the Spread Zone is presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Our dear friend Anthony Stalter is on vacation.
Yeah, he's vacationing this week.
But we got to work, man.
Yeah, we got to make people money, and that's our responsibility. That is the charge that we have been given. That is the charge we will execute, and damn it, we will do it today.
So we are recording Wednesday, June 17th, 2026, noon Central. So if you're listening later, just know odds move. We'll reference FanDuel lines, and we're gonna double check the app as we go. But bet responsibly, not emotions, no chasing. So all right, the scene: Southampton, New York, the Hampton shoreline. The wind has teeth. The grass is cut tight in places where it shouldn't be tight. And the course looks like it's daring you to hit one extra club, then punishing you for it. The 126th U.S. Open. It's back at Shinnecock Hills, a par 70, firm and fast. The American Links vibe, Tim. Wide fairways on paper, but the angles matter. And if you miss into the fescue, you're pitching out sideways and praying. So do you know anything about the history at Shinnecock as far as how everybody's playing?
The course is famously brutal.
Right.
Only, if I'm not mistaken, 4 people have shot under par for the tournament at Shinnecock in their U.S. Open.
This place
history.
doesn't give out red numbers.
It just doesn't. It's brutal. I mean, they're talking about the 11 green specifically, if the wind is up, and it is expected to be up, as being borderline unplayable.
Pars are premium. Bogeys are normal. Doubles lurk. So the tournament basics for betting, 156 player field, cut is low 60 and ties after 36 holes. Wind is expected to be a factor early, Thursday and Friday especially. So this could get real chaotic over the next couple days. So what's your mindset in betting this particular U.S. Open?
Wind players who play well on super difficult courses. And, we take a look at the last time they were there. It was a Brooks Koepka win. And Brooks Koepka was at his peak at that time. It was the beginning of his run of majors. This guy...
is this 2018?
Yep.
2018.
They're just incredible talent. And, you'll see players deal with conditions that they never deal with. The USGA is famous for making the course difficult, no matter where they are. There is a famous meme of Ryder Cup captain when the U.S. was in Rome in 2023, Zach Johnson, doing an interview outside of the clubhouse at Shinnecock in 2018 on a Saturday afternoon and saying they've lost the golf course. A friend of mine was caddying for a gentleman by the name of Chris Nagel, who Monday qualified into it, and he was playing behind the group when Phil Mickelson was so frustrated with the greens that he just decided to stop the putt with his putter while it was rolling because he had lost his mind in the conditions. The place breeds anarchy. If you like anarchy, look for wins because you will get them.
So the winning score back in 2018 was 1 over. That was the winning score.
Yeah.
So we're not picking the guy who's making the most birdies. We're not picking the guy who makes the fewest mistakes, that doesn't melt when the ball starts moving sideways. How are we going to attack this? How are we going to attack betting on the U.S. Open this year?
So one of the things that I think is an important difference between 2018 and this year, 2 things actually. Number one, the average fairway width is 43 yards now. So they have expanded the width of the fairways. Still, if you miss the fairway, the rough is just impossible. You are not hitting to get to the green from the rough. You are just trying to get out of it, get to the fairway, and then try to somehow save par. So that's one thing, but the fairways are wider. And secondarily, something Rory McIlroy was observing yesterday, I don't know if complaining would be a fair term for it, but that they are going to water the greens at 2:00 to try to keep them from getting, like when Retief Goosen won a couple decades ago, they looked purple. I mean, in the greens, therefore, like, this table we have between us, you can't hold the greens. And they're super undulated. The course is 100 plus years old, and they weren't built for greens that roll at 13 on the stimp meter. So these things fly. It causes absolute chaos. And I think a lot of people enjoy watching this because they're used to seeing these guys birdie holes, stick it super tight.
Are you excited to see?
I love watching this.
Watching these guys get challenged?
I love the challenge. I love when par is a good score. Now, Augusta's different because for golf fans such as myself, I can recognize each, in particular on the back nine. I mean, I could rattle those off now from memory. You can picture them. U.S. Open, to me, is where you see who can endure the brutality of it. Some of our most famous finishes in this century come from U.S. Opens. Recently, you had Pinehurst and Rory McIlroy missing on the back nine, super short putts. 1 on 18 that led to Bryson DeChambeau coming back and beating him. So you have that element. Last year, J.J. Spaun sunk a miraculous putt to win it. You get guys put to the test, and so much of the game of golf is mental as well as the gifts that they have physically to hit the ball as far as they do and the soft touch around the greens. This combines all of those things. Guys lose their minds, in particular at Shinnecock.
What's your bet slip going to look like without knowing who's going to be on it? Are we doing outright, 2 placements, 1 pain bet? What does the Tim McKernan bet slip look like?
There are a couple that I would consider in the long shot category that I will both be betting to win and top 20s. One thing of note is what's going on with Scottie Scheffler. I'll get into that in a moment because that is...
He is the favorite. He is the
favorite, but there's a bit of a development with that with regard to Scheffler, considering the significance of what Sunday could be, being his birthday and also the opportunity to become a Grand Slam winner. If he were to win the U.S. Open, he's won the Masters, he's won the PGA, and he has won the Open. So you have that element as well as focusing on a couple of players who tend to excel on really difficult golf courses.
So right now you got Scheffler is the favorite on FanDuel at plus 550. Behind him, you're looking at Rory at plus 1,200, Rahm at 1,500, Schauffele at 1,600, then Fleetwood and Fitzpatrick both at 1,800, Cam Young at plus 2,000. So let's take a break, and then we'll come back and we'll build our actual cards. Talking U.S. Open, PGA, it's a major. It's the Spread Zone presented by FanDuel. All right, welcome back to the Spread Zone presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. All right, U.S. Open week at Shinnecock. This is the tournament where surviving is a skill, and the winning golfer is the guy who could hit one more fairway, get up and down one more time, and 3-putt one fewer time than everyone else. So let's get to Tim McKernan's ticket. What are we starting with?
There is a gentleman whose name I have been mentioning now on this program for a while, who is not a household name, but he was the leader going into Sunday afternoon at the PGA Championship. That gentleman's name is Alex Smalley. I will continue to play him every week until he wins, because he will win. He is so good, but he is not well known, and therefore we get big numbers on him. And like I said, I mean, he was 18 holes away. He was the leader going into Sunday at the last major. He is an incredible ball striker, and I think at this point, Riz, he has some battle scars that put him in a position to deal with the mental test that will come with being in the mix for a major championship, such as he was just a month ago at the PGA Championship. So, with that said, Alex Smalley is plus 2,500 for a top 5 finish.
Nice.
I really enjoy that. But you still can get significant odds on this guy who has been lurking in a number of tournaments, but just hasn't been able to close the door for a top 20. Plus 470, so close to 5-1 on your money for a guy who I realize doesn't have the brand recognition of, you could name 20 golfers before you would name Alex Smalley. I'm just telling you from the standpoint of a value, that's where I am looking. because there's great talent there, but he still hasn't been able to do it. So, for example, at the PGA Championship last month, it's like, well, Alex Smalley's leading, but we know he's not going to win.
Yeah, he's not going to finish.
That's the kind of mindset that people have regarding him. Then he wins. Then he becomes a guy that people expect to win. So that's where I start. Then I also would keep an eye on another name that I don't think people would necessarily lean on right off the top of their heads, but this is a guy who is playing really well, and he's coming off of a disastrous situation at last year's U.S. Open when he got so frustrated that he busted up the clubhouse at Oakmont, busted up his locker, but he has turned it around, and that's Wyndham Clark. He won at LACC, and he is trending. He is plus 1,100 to finish in the top 5. I like top 20 plays because, again, you're still, in the case of Wyndham Clark, getting plus 220 just for a top 20. And I think there's so much variance here because one of the things that people have to look at, and this is an important thing, and it changes by the moment, in particular with this major and then also the Open, and that is the wind. Tee times and where your flight is can dictate your success, as crazy as that sounds. If you're teeing off in the morning and the winds are going to be calm, and then in the afternoon on Thursday they whip up, then you have a significant advantage, even if you're not a better player than those guys. That is something to be dialed into. They are expecting it to be windy, as you noted, on Thursday and Friday. So take a look at that. So that's why I like the top 20s, because it frees you up to still cash even with that variance factor. Now, I mentioned that there is something intriguing going on with Scottie Scheffler. This is a guy that if he were to win, Scottie Scheffler would become a Grand Slam winner. We saw that happen with Rory McIlroy at Augusta in April of 2025. Here we are just 14 months later, and we could have another one, and that is incredibly uncommon in the game. But his odds are slipping. Plus 550 is by far the longest odds I've seen for Scottie Scheffler to win a golf tournament, and I don't know how long. You may have to go back a few years. He has been not to a Tiger Woods level of favorite, but such a huge favorite that plus 550 actually kind of starts to fall into the category of being a value, which is amazing. I don't know why.
Anything come out this week?
No. The thing about Scheffler this year, he has won, and then he had 3 successive tournaments where he finished in second place. But it's not like he's playing poorly. By his standards, I guess you could make that case, but he's not playing terribly. And I think that is a real opportunity. To get Scottie Scheffler to top 10 is minus 135. So that's something that I would keep an eye on.
What about an outright winner?
So here are my 2 outright plays for you. The one guy has been playing so well ever since he made a switch on a caddy, and I've been on him. I've talked about him here on this podcast, and that's Cam Young. He is a New York native, and he is certainly familiar with playing golf in the area. Plus 2,200. He was super hot a couple months ago, cooled off a bit, but he was leading at the Masters on Sunday. Cam Young, for those who are watching their first edition or listening to their first edition of the Spread Zone, was a great ball striker, incredible bomber off the tee, but he had issues with putting. His roommate at Wake Forest, who also was on the golf team, is who he hired to become his caddy here a few months ago, and this guy is an expert green reader. And so if somebody says, putt it there at this speed, and it's going to either go in or leave you a tap in, that is a huge advantage to tend to your weakness. So Cam Young at plus 2,200. And then the one that I would circle and say is going to get his first major championship win, because this guy has excelled on incredibly difficult golf courses just like Cam Young, but he does not have a major yet. Tommy Fleetwood at plus 1,800 is my play to win the 2026 U.S. Open.
Put me down for that one, too.
No way!
Outright winner,
what
Tommy
are the
Fleetwood,
chances?
plus 1,800. And everything I'm reading, it's a Shinnecock fit. Win, positioning, creativity around the greens. Fleetwood's game travels. So give me him for an outright win. My bet, too, is Matt Fitzpatrick for an outright win.
I like Matt Fitzpatrick as well.
Give me Russell Henley top 10. at plus 270. And I'm going to go with a miss the cut bet.
Oh, what are we going with here?
Bryson DeChambeau, miss the cut at plus 140. That's a fun one.
A miss the cut bet on Bryson. He better hit some fairways, I can tell you that. If you wanted to dial in, now this would fall into the cat again for the average person. They're like, what are you talking about? I understand, but what are we in the business of? Knowledge? Are we in the business of making money? We're looking to making money. That's right. Brooks Koepka is dealing with an injury. He was in the mix at the RBC Canadian this past Sunday and then had to withdraw on Sunday. That is not the way things usually work. Now, he's still out there trying to grind his way through to see if he can play at the course where he has had success in winning a U.S. Open. Brooks Koepka is injured. He was on the board to make or miss the cut. They have since removed him. Monitor this bleeding into his tee time.
If he gets back up
If he gets back on the board, because this is a guy, he wants to play. Obviously, it's a major. He wants to play. He's had success there. It all goes without saying. But Brooks Koepka is one to keep an eye on. It sucks that they took him off the board, but they took him off the board because they know that this could be something that they get hammered on if people jump on it.
Yeah, make sure when you open up that FanDuel app and you look at the U.S. Open, I mean, there's some deep bets you could make and some fun ones. That's my optional miss the cut look.
Yeah.
Bryson at plus 140. He's plus 4,000 on FanDuel to win, but he may have a rough one.
Yeah. Well, he's got to hit fairway. You miss fairways. Again, the fairways are wider than they were in 18. They're 43 yards average. That's not crazy wide, but they're wider than they were. But still, it's a case of if you're not hitting fairways, you are doomed because essentially it's a one-shot penalty. You're punching out sideways to get out of that rough.
Anything else on the U.S. Open, Tim?
No, I mean, I think if you want a matchup play, sometimes we like to make matchup plays. I really am so high on Alex Smalley. He's coming off a bad outing at the Memorial, and the bounce back I like for a guy. I think he'd been playing a bunch of events in a row, got a chance to rest up. Alex Smalley is, like I said, I love the top 20 play on Alex Smalley. Tommy Fleetwood, our guy, and Cam Young are the matchup there, so it's tough to make that play because they happen to be positioned against each other. I like Wyndham Clark against Colin Morikawa as far as a matchup. Wyndham Clark is minus 110 on that one. So those would be the ones that I would circle. And if you're sitting there going, somebody has had trouble as of late hitting fairways, then take advantage of that because hitting fairways will be of the utmost importance at this event.
Have you been watching any World Cup action?
Oh, yeah.
Tim?
I love the world. I love the dynamic on the anchor desk between Henri, Zlatan, and Lawless. It seems like there's some tension there, which is wonderful because they still got another month of working together. I mean, you get Messi with the hat trick. It's been outstanding.
I threw a nice little 3-game parlay together. 3-team parlay together yesterday. Won myself some money.
Oh, is that right? What would you go with?
France to win against Senegal, Norway to beat Iraq, and Argentina to beat Algeria. Nice little 3.
Those were relatively sweat-free, by the way.
I know, and that's why I made some money yesterday.
Nicely done. Sweat-free money.
Sweat-free. Opened up my FanDuel app and made myself some money yesterday. So we'll take a break. We'll come back. We will talk FIFA World Cup bets. It's a Spread Zone presented by FanDuel. All right, Tim, scene change. We go from windswept Shinnecock to World Cup noise, pack stands, national anthems, and games where one bad bounce changes a month of work. So as of today, the FanDuel World Cup winner odds board has moved. Spain was the favorite going into the tournament. France is now the favorite.
Yeah, the stunning draw for Spain has caused some faith.
Yeah, after tying Cabo Verde.
Yeah.
Spain lost a little magic. Now, do you know about this Cabo Verde?
Because of what happened, I looked into it. I was enamored by the goaltender's performance.
It's been the story.
It is incredible. 40 years old and out there just putting on a clinic.
So Cabo Verde, aka the Blue Sharks, and yes, they showed up to the World Cup like it's Shark Week with cleats, because it's their first ever World Cup. Instead of easing in with a nice try, boys, I mean, they walk into their debut and go, cool story, Spain. Enjoy this 0-0. And the main character was their 40-year-old goalkeeper who was a certified brick wall. And the best part is that Cabo Verde isn't some huge soccer factory. One outlet called them the third smallest nation to ever play in the World Cup.
The population of Sacramento.
This is an Atlantic island nation, a volcanic archipelago of 10 islands, sitting about 385 miles off the West African coast. Population barely, as you mentioned, around half a million.
And they go up against the favorites to win the World Cup.
And yet here they are on the biggest stage in the world, making history like it's routine. So my first World Cup bet this week is it's France to win the World Cup. It's France to win the World Cup at plus 400. I'm not gonna galaxy brain this. France plus 400 is the current top of the board. It's not a long shot value. It's the best team, best path. Hold a ticket. Small stake. Don't mortgage your bankroll on it. But the odds changed. The odds moved. I'm going to take France at plus 400. My second bet is for Portugal to win the World Cup at plus 800. That's the number range I like for a second ticket. Good enough to matter.
Yeah. Short
enough to be real. And then I want to talk USA and Australia. This is a match bet. USA versus Australia at Lumen Field in Seattle Friday. Now, this is where we go totals. I'm looking at under 2.5.
Okay.
In group play, especially when both teams can advance, you see stretches of, don't lose the match soccer.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from here. It's interesting on our program. Our producer gave a play a couple days ago. Loved a draw between Egypt and Belgium, and we're like, and it was paying nice, about 5-1. Like, where'd you come up with that? They're in a group that's weak. All they both need to do is get a goal and move on. And that's exactly what they did. So I think people might go, how would you know that there is going to be either this style of play or a draw? But in the case of both the U.S. and Australia, they are positioned quite well.
Yeah, positioned to advance, so they're not going to push it. So look for under 2.5 goals.
I like the logic on that play. I like that play a lot.
Anything on the World Cup, Tim?
Well, the U.S. is certainly the story. I feel like what took place this past Friday night got the attention of those who weren't paying that much attention. The United States is plus 4,000 to win the World Cup. European football analysts would laugh at the idea of the United States winning the World Cup. If you are interested in Cabo Verde, our friends off the west coast of Africa, and would like to bet them to win the World Cup, you can put $100 on that. And when they win the World Cup and becoming a Disney film, you will receive $250,000 for your $100 investment. That's correct. I do wonder if what took place against Cabo Verde is an indication of Spain being weak or more of an indication of them simply overlooking them. I was hoping that their number would fall more than it did. It only fell to plus 500. So that was something that I thought would be more substantial. And I think, it goes without saying, I think if anybody was going, okay, Argentina's chances to repeat, you got a 38-year-old Messi, and then he comes out and does what he did as we're taping this last night with the hat trick, and you go, okay, maybe Argentina's live at plus 900 in what is a group that is certainly favorable to them to advance.
Well, on a bet I laid down a couple weeks ago, I got a same-game parlay, France to reach the finals, Spain to reach the quarterfinals, England to reach the round of 16, and Argentina to reach the quarterfinals.
What'd you get?
$10 wager will get me $200.
Wow. 20-1.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah.
You got to feel pretty good about that.
I'm feeling good so far.
Yeah. I sense that I like where you're coming from on the logic on the United States and on Australia. And I think what could work to your advantage on that is I think the market would go, oh my goodness, look how many goals the United States put up. And they dominated that game. So there's this expectation that they're an offensive machine. But I agree with you. What is the mission? To put on a score and run up the mission is to advance.
Yes.
And when you're talking about two teams that already got 3 points in their first match, I like your logic on that. They color me intrigued by that under of 2.5 for the United States and Australia Friday afternoon.
All right, let's make some money this weekend, Tim.
It's our time. This is our time.
All right, that's the show. 2 U.S. Open segments because Shinnecock deserves it, and the World Cup tickets because the odds board is moving all the time here. And again, all lines are through FanDuel Sportsbook. Check the app when you bet because we recorded June 17th at noon Central, and the market does not care about your feelings. For Tim McKernan, my name is Riz. This is the Spread Zone, and let's make some money.
We provide information about sports betting for entertainment purposes only. Please confirm gambling regulations in your state of residence. To participate in sports gaming, you must be 21 years of age or older and be physically present in a state where sports betting is legal. If you or someone you know has a sports betting or gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org for more information and further assistance.